Words appear. Ron Whitcomb, U.S. Army, 1968 to 1969. In a lush yard, a faded prayer flag hangs between two posts, and a bell-shaped wind chime dangles beside a shingle house.
I built my own home. I built it for me. This is my place to come and rejuvenate. It's the most peaceful place I know on earth. This is where I get my energy to go out and help other veterans.
Flat stone steps lead up to a kneeling statue.
I do a lot of things for other people that I couldn't do before.
A thin, bald man with a bushy goatee smiles. Behind him, dappled sunlight flickers on yellow shingles.
The first 18 years I was home, I did fairly well. And then everything went downhill in a quick fashion.
In the woods, long, thin oak branches form a canopy over a small clearing.
Everywhere I went was overwhelming. As soon as I got into a store, post office, even a friend's home, I had to get out.
A path leads out of the woods.
I moved 30 times in 18 years. I would get used to some place and then not like that. People knew my patterns, people knew where I lived, who I was, and I would get up and move.
Inside, Ron's house is neatly filled with eclectic items. Peace signs cover a clock face. Books and framed photos line a low shelf. A plant and a Buddha statue sit by a window.
My home used to be as difficult to be in as anywhere else. I would feel like I was in a fishbowl and in the crosshairs of a sniper.
Trees border the large backyard.
Intellectually, I knew there was no VC in my yard. There's no VC snipers in the woodline. But my emotions told me it felt like there were. And I was fearful to go outside in the daylight. I was fearful to stand at my kitchen sink with a light over me unless there was a blind and a shade shut.
Ron stands at a sink in his rustic kitchen and gazes out a window.
Nighttime for me was sleeping in a recliner 1 or 2 hours every other day. And I slept with a loaded weapon and a survival knife. A bug on the screen would wake me up in the summer. A log popping on the wood stove would wake me up in the winter. So sleep was almost non-existent.
A glass case contains a statuette of a horse. A white paper lantern hangs below a ceiling fan spinning blades.
I couldn't get Vietnam out of my mind for a second.
The fan blades blur.
That's when I sought treatment.
Outside, the prayer flag, made from small, colorful rectangles on a string, flutters in the breeze. Ornate writing covers each piece of thin fabric.
In therapy, I learned to connect my intellect more with my emotions because there was a total disconnect. I learned through going over and over it again in therapy and to myself at home to keep reinforcing the fact that I'm safe. I brought the war home inside me, but there aren't VC in my yard.
Beyond a spiky iron fence, flowering gardens line the yard. Ron gazes out through a red-trimmed window.
It took a lot of hard work and a lot of time in therapy. And through understanding PTSD, I have a great life now. I'm happy. I'm not depressed. I have some anxiety problems, but I have no panic attacks. I can go and do anything I want, anytime I want.
Ron holds a red pail and paints the shingles on his house. The single-story L-shaped home is surrounded by neat green gardens, statues, and a bird bath. Ron leans on a hand-hewn log fence.
To all my brothers and sister veterans, there's hope for you because there's treatment for PTSD. I had a profound case, and I'm doing well.
A cat sits in Ron's lap.
And it was a lot of work.
Ron waters a vegetable garden.
But when you start feeling better, you will feel the rewards, and it just gets easier and easier after that.
He sits in a green patio chair, eyes closed, his face tipped toward the sun. Across the yard, a peace flag waves on a tall pole. Logos appear: About Face, the National Center for PTSD, and the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs.